the risk envelope a little bit and getting out on the water without a life jacket, they can grab one off of this stand, use it for the day, and then return it. We do ask that they do get brought back. These life jackets are purchased with Coast Guard funds, but we still do go through a lot of life jackets. With 25 stations around the state and several more in the wings, we are going through a couple thousand life jackets every summer. And that's a lot of cheddar. So if we can encourage folks to return their life jackets when they're done, then they're available for somebody else. I do want to echo what has been said before. This is a huge thank you to everybody for this partnership. My mission with Arizona Game and Fish, with the boating safety program, is to keep our boating public safe. But I'm just the boating safety guy. I'm one guy for the state. And none of us can really make much of an impact unless we come together and work together like this. So this is very encouraging and exciting. I'm really excited about the partnership we have here at Pleasant. Coy has been very instrumental in pushing boating safety and encouraging this partnership with Game and Fish. We really appreciate that. We don't get much done working in all of our little silos, so thank you. And that is all I have, so it goes back to RJ. Come on up.
Thank you, gentlemen. Again, I'm RJ Carden. I'm the Director of Maricopa County Parks and Recreation Department. Thank you again, all of you, for being here today, and welcome to Lake Pleasant Regional Park. I'm batting cleanup here, so I get to provide somewhat of a potpourri of safety tips, but I think you'll find these useful. Every year, boats are swamped and capsized here at Lake Pleasant and other lakes during monsoon, storms, and high wind events, and most of these occurrences are preventable. Here's a couple of safety measures that boaters should be aware of. First, check the weather forecast before you go out. Second, and it seems obvious, but don't launch your boat or try to load your boat during a high wind event. And third, be patient. These wind events, especially monsoon storms, come up very quickly, but they also die down very quickly. Find a cove to hide out in and then launch your boat load your boat after that. In order to help keep boaters safe here at Lake Pleasant, we recently upgraded our wind warning system. The Parks Department just replaced 3 wind warning measuring units with all new technology located at 3 islands throughout the lake. Each of the units is 30 feet tall, contains 2 halogen strobe lights, and weather is transmitted autonomously 24 hours a day. We've also installed large electronic messaging boards at each of our county boat ramps, and the strobe lights will go off once the wind hits approximately 20 miles an hour, and the messaging boards will flash at the boat ramps as well. In terms of hiking safety, Supervisor Galvin mentioned this, but every year more than 200 people are rescued because of hiking and mainly heat-related issues in our parks. So we're asking this year that public do your research when you go out on a hike, know your ability and know the ability of those that are hiking with you. Stay hydrated. When your water is halfway gone, your hike is halfway done. Turn around. And don't hike alone, and finally bring a map, app, or GPS unit to help you find your location. Finally, I wanted to talk just quickly about fire safety. Wildfires in and near our county parks and open spaces have become really devastating the last 5 or so years due to extreme heat and invasive species, plant species that are starting to cover our desert floor. We ask everyone to be vigilant in preventing these fires that really devastate our Sonoran Desert. Between May 1 and September 30th, outdoor recreation fires in our parks and really throughout most of Maricopa County are banned. However, we do allow propane grills in our campgrounds and our picnic areas. Finally, please do your part to protect all of our park and open space precious resources. Follow the 7 principles of the Leave No Trace program, and those 7 principles can be found on our website. Thank you very much, and Supervisor Galvin, I'll turn it back to you.
Thank you, RJ. You can come right here.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Sheriff Skinner. Thank you, RJ. Thank you, Josh and Danny. As you can see, this is a really fully comprehensive effort across a wide spectrum of agencies. And what you heard today were a lot of good tips, and I want to underscore them. You know, a couple years ago, I was alarmed by the number of drownings we had here in our lakes, and I'm proud to say that last year drownings went down. And I think it's in part to the event we held here last year, but mostly due to the efforts of the people standing behind me and the people that work with them. But I also want to emphasize, once again, if you're on a boat, please wear a life jacket. Always be aware of the surroundings and where your children are up to, and please be careful even with your friends. And when you're hiking, just make sure you're hydrated, and as you heard RJ say, if you're halfway there with water, just turn around and come back, and fire safety is so important. But I'm really proud to hear about this program with life jacket exchanges. So I want to thank everyone here, and I'm confident that our collaboration can make a difference this summer. And I'd like to invite our attendees to join us for a boat ride supervised by the Sheriff's Office Lake Patrol. And officers show us firsthand how they conduct their search and rescue operations. It's really an eye-opener. I encourage all of you to partake in it. Thank you all today for coming. Appreciate it.
So we'll have the boat rides in a few minutes. Do you have any questions? As long as we, please, and tell me who you'd like to ask a question of.
So you said that the search and rescue was up 50%, but drownings were down last year. Was that because there's a greater emphasis on search and rescue? Just you guys got more folks out of the water, or can you kind of explain a little bit about what led to that increase?
You know, absolutely.
Absolutely. Search and rescue, and let me kind of just reframe it. Unfortunately, our waters are so warm. We have search and recovery a lot of times in a drowning case out here in Arizona, as opposed to back east where the waters are colder. If this has been down a few minutes, typically it's going to be a recovery effort at that point. We're dealing with some deep depth lakes here in very murky water. In fact, a lot of it's black water diving. So in a lot of these cases where you see search and recovery, yes, those went down, less drownings, but search and rescues where people were maybe more responsible, also just needed the help. They got the assistance out there. They called us at the first sight of an incident occurring. So they may be coming out of the water or getting ready to get out of the water, and our deputies meeting them there, and we have a successful and thank goodness a life-saving event. So those are the differences in some of those numbers.
How long does it take to get to somebody out on the water? And you guys trying to cut down that time?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it all depends. We obviously have a lot of public safety personnel between Game and Fish, Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, Peoria Fire that are on the water, and actually Parks has maintenance boats on the water. We have a helicopter, and anytime that we're out, it's a big lake, but we respond as an emergency like a police vehicle would, and a lot of times we're able to. But this lake being as large as it is, it takes a little more of a challenge to get there, and if a helicopter happens to be up and that's the first thing that can spot and we can send, we'll do so. But between the efforts of the partnerships, we cross-communicate all the time, and I will say that's been at least hopefully a lifesaver in a lot of these circumstances.
Quick question, for Memorial Day, will there be more patrol out on the waters than typical? What do people expect if they're heading out here?
Yes, absolutely. We actually do a DUI task force for the roads coming in and out. We also do a boating task force as well between Game and Fish and the Sheriff's Office. They actually bring in other members from within the state region, and we send extra boats out here, and we have volunteers out here that help our lake patrol. It's more robust. But that's all our waterways. Typically on the holiday weekends, we do bolster that resource and make sure that we're keeping people safe and getting impaired drivers and boaters off of the water or off of the road.
Question, you mentioned there's less requirements for people to drive boats, but if they are caught drinking and driving a boat, what could be the consequences?
Yes, thank goodness they're closer to similar to what a DUI is now on the roads. We call it an operating under the influence, which is an OUI. Threshold's a little different, but they do get the same. The only difference there is if they're caught on the water, there's not penalties against their license. That's something that we've been obviously working for with the legislature between Game and Fish and Maricopa County Sheriff's Office, as well as the sheriffs throughout the state that have waterways, is we'd like to see some of those ramifications get put into legislation, as well as boater safety education on the books and minimum age requirements, because right now it is a little less restricted and not as serious of the laws as there is to motor vehicle traffic or motor vehicle operation.
So I'm talking maybe like fines?
Well, fines, they can do jail time. OUI, you do jail time. It would be a misdemeanor offense in the state of Arizona. depending on how many they have too. It could be collaborated with their driving record and could be definitely extended further into a felony if it gets to that point, or if there's a major injury or fatality that occurs. Obviously, then we look into manslaughter charges or homicide charges.
What's the minimum that you want to see, 16 or higher? Or?
I would think it would be pretty much collaborative to what a driving on the road would be. Personal opinion would be 16. I know that would be something for the legislature. Right now, it's again, you can operate it. The only requirement for the younger generation is that somebody over the age of 18 has to be on there with them. But yes, unfortunately, we don't have any restrictions to that. And I'd also like to see the adult public get that education as well, especially if they're new to watercraft safety in the boating world.
Thank you. Any other questions? If you guys need anything else after this, we can do something more informal. Thank you so much for being here today, and we'll set up those boat rides. I assume everyone with the camera, if you all want to go, let's just meet back here at the back part of the dock, and the sheriff's office will guide us to that boat. Okay?
Thank you.